Is my charisma leading you away from God? Hey guys, it's John. Well, thank you for coming back to the fabulous John of News Studios. And I wanted to hop on and kind of talk about this because I had a comment that came in that literally was a fire and brimstone sort of comment, and it made me laugh out loud because his argument was that my charisma was leading people away from God. My charisma. Now, if you look up the word charisma, it has a couple different meanings, but basically what it means is that there's this attractiveness about this person that people are drawn to them. If I have charisma, then I'm grateful for it. I don't think of it in that terms, because I know Jeshua had charisma, and I had Buddha had charisma, and Muhammad had charisma, and Baha'u'llah had charisma, and I've known actors who've had charisma, and comedians who've had charisma, and just relatives who have great charisma. But charisma is not what this person thinks it is, because charisma itself is fearlessness. It's being your authentic self. The reason I laugh at something like this is because they're living into the fear of God and a fearful, judgmental God. And they're afraid that I'm going to take people away from their fearful, judgmental God and lead them to a non-existent devil. And they're trying to tell me and others on my channel especially that don't follow this guy. He's an antichrist, or he's a false prophet, but all of those are tools, manipulators in religion to keep people in religion. And so when this person says that my charisma is leading people away from God, it's really interesting because God is love, and by being fearless, you're closer to love. So if I have charisma at all, I'm leading people to God. I'm leading people away from fear. Fear no evil. It's right in your darn book. Look it up, right? It's right there. Fear no evil, right? Because thou art with me. I fear no evil. And when I see these comments of your charisma is, I'm saying, well, here's a person who's not being their authentic self. They are succumbing to fear. They are succumbing to the rules and ideas of a religion rather than being authentic, being who they are, being fearless. Because even the Buddha said the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. The less fear I have, and don't get me wrong, I have some fears. I wouldn't be in the physical world if I didn't have fears, because that's kind of the point of this whole thing, is that we're here to experience our separation, and the closer we get to being done with those fears and anxieties, the closer we are to God, and the less we need to come here, right? So it really comes down to this idea of, if you're upset at me because you perceive me as having charisma, I need you to understand that charisma is just fearlessness. I'm not afraid of God. I love God. I love my fellow man. What's the last words of Jeshua in the Bible, in your book? I leave you one commandment: love one another. Well, this whole reaching out to judge me as an antichrist and a deceiver and someone who's leading people astray, that's not loving. That's not loving at all. That's judgment. In that book, what's that book say again? Judge not, lest ye shall be judged. So you're not my judge. So I don't take what you say as a judgment on me, because I don't accept your judgment, right? I also don't accept the fear that you're offering me. Oftentimes, as someone who is going through a spiritual journey, people will throw their fears up, and they'll throw things at you to try to sway you back to their way of thinking. And my favorite response to them is, I do not accept the fear you're offering. I've had a couple of people get very upset with me. I'm not offering fear. Then explain to me how what you're saying is not fearful. And they can't. Because fear itself is prevalent in all of those religions, especially Christian religions, because when they decided he was the Son of God, everyone else was wrong. 30% of the world is Christian. Of that 30%, less than half of them are practicing Christians. And there's getting less and less every day, according to statistics, which is why right now what we're experiencing are the ones who are coming to the end of their ropes, and we're dealing specifically now with the ones who are vehemently Christian, and they have to be right. So they're getting louder and they're getting more verbose in their condemnations of others, and it really comes down to the idea of it's their fear. It's their fear of being wrong. It's their fear of not being on the right path. It's their fear. They are in fear, and they are in fear of God, and God is love. And when they see love, they fear it, and they lash out against it. That's why we have so many issues right now with evangelicals condemning homosexuals. It's not because the homosexuals were bad people. It's because it doesn't fit their fear-based God. God is love, and love in any form is not wrong. Now, let me tap on that for a second, because someone tried to call me out on that the other day. They're saying, well, pedophilia is love. No, it's not. It's lust. It's sickness. It's fear. Pedophilia is I can't get someone to like me for me, so I'm going to manipulate a child. That's not love. That's fear. Right? And when they said, well, and somebody actually said homosexuality was wrong. And homosexuality is not wrong. I've known homosexual couples who have better relationships than most of the straight couples I know. They love each other. They hold hands. They take care of each other. They are, but I've seen dysfunctional ones as well. Love is not wrong in any form. I don't care if you're gay, straight, polyamory, bisexual. I don't care if it's love. If it's lust and power plays, then it's a different story, right? If it's love, it's the same thing in this. The reason people perceive me, I think, of having charisma is because I am just being truthful. I'm just being male. I'm being fearless. I'm telling a story that I know that some people will want to condemn me for. But I don't care about that because I'm not afraid. Because I have found that my life has become so much more beautiful, so much more loving, so much more caring by not having my fears and my anxieties muddle or muddy the view of me, of my authentic nature. And my authentic nature is one with God, is one with the source. And to be in the realization that I can just be loving and be in the source, to the fearful, it looks charismatic. But anybody who sets down their fear will look different from the fearful. And that's really what's going on with the people who are trying to condemn me for my charisma. Right. I just think the whole concept of it is just funny. And I really do find it funny because it's literally their fear, the fear of my fearlessness, the fear of me just being loving, that's making them strike out against me. Now, please understand something. When I say this, it very rarely happens. And both of my channels, both the John of New and the Recovering Catholic channels, are what I like to call no fire and brimstone zones. So the second someone comes in with condemnation and fire and brimstone and a fearful God, I just hide them from the channel, which, as many of you know, and some of you might not know, when you hide someone from the channel, they can still see everything. They still think they're commenting. But in reality, neither I or anybody else will ever see what they're doing. And, that's sad for them because they don't they're missing the off-ramp of love. They're missing the off-ramp of finding their own charisma, their own connection with Source, their own love, and they're succumbing to their own fears and their anxieties. And when I see them, I feel sorry for them, but it's not my job to save them. They feel it's their job to save me, right? But there's nothing I need saving from because I'm one with God, and God is love. And the fear is non-existent. The fear is the illusion of not having love, but I have it. So I don't need it. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not fearful. That's the key, is people who are fearless or who have less fear, put it that way, always seem more charismatic. But the reason that is because they, as Mark Twain once said, when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. I go on interviews and people, they say, well, what can we talk about? I said, I'm an open book. Ask me anything, I'll talk. And I have no fear of what's going to come out of my mouth. And it's not because I don't, because I'm a good liar. It's because I just speak my truth. And that's what this entire channel is about, is speaking my truth. And if it offends your truth, you have to ask yourself, that feeling of offense, what is that? What is that feeling of being negative about something I'm saying? That's your fear of being wrong. That's your fear of your belief system not being correct. And when you go down that path, oh my goodness, you'll live a life that's fear-based and fearful. I'm living a life of joy and laughter and fun. I travel the area around here, and I have a wonderful experience every time I go out my door. I have a wonderful experience every time I'm in here. I have a wonderful experience making these videos. I love making these videos. I enjoy it. It's beautiful. But I'm just speaking my truth. And if you're offended by my truth, why does my truth even matter to you? So that's my thought on that. I hope you find me charismatic. Because I think charismatic just means that I'm getting something right. And you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.